Hello, everybody. My name is Chase Bargeman. I'm the waterfront director at the St. Francis Yacht Club, and today I'll be going over the signal boats and the Markset boats, what you can find on board while you're using them as a part of race committee, and I'll also let you know how each of the boats are set up. And then we'll talk a little bit about what you can expect to find inside of our Markset Shed that's located down on the docks. So let's get started here. Let's start with the legal requirements. So the Coast Guard requires that we have the following equipment on board, these 5 items right here. The sound producing device, that could be either a whistle or an air horn, current registration. I tape those up on the insides of the consoles on each of the boats. Distress signals, both day and night. I specify that because I am slowly removing all of the flammable flares on the boats as they expire and replacing them with an electronic flare, which you see in the picture here, that orange light with that orange flag folded up next to it. With those two combined, they satisfy both the night and the day requirements by the U.S. Coast Guard for a distress signal. And so the next thing would be the throwable, the Type 4 throwable, which is the next picture over there. It's the square flotation device with 2 nylon straps on either end. And lastly, fire extinguishers. Some boats have 1, some boats have 2. It entirely depends on the size of the boat as to how many fire extinguishers are required on board. I included this picture of the checklist here. Each one of our boats has this checklist on board. This is just to help out whoever's operating that boat that day to make sure that they have everything they need. All right, let's talk about our signal boats. We have 2 of them. This is the first, our largest one, and newest one. It's a Sea Sport 3200 Power Cat named Will Height, after one of our previous Commodores. And she has twin 260 horsepower turbo diesel engines on board. A little bit faster than the old signal boat that she replaced. Her cruising speed is 20 knots. I believe the W.L. Stewart, or the previous boat, was close to 12, 13 tops. So close to 100% increase in speed there. She has 2 Raymarine multifunction displays on board, one at the helm on the interior of the vessel and another at the helm on the flybridge. She has a full flag set on board. So that's all of your nautical flags A through Z. Your numerical pennants, and other flags such as AP, general recall, first substitution, and etc. She also is equipped with an automated starting sequence horn system that we installed on her. So it's pretty cool. You just press a button and it'll sound off all of the necessary horns in order to get your race off. And 300 feet of chain is on board this boat connected to the anchor. So a lot of chain. You can anchor almost anywhere in the bay. All right, this is our second signal boat here. She's called the Cressy. She is a 28-foot protector with twin 150 Yamahas on the back. Cruising speed is around 28 knots. You could definitely do more than that, but typically, given any normal day in the bay, you're going to hover around 28. She also has Raymarine MFD on board. It's on the port side, so the opposite side of where the helm is. She also, like the Will Height, has a full flag set on board, as well as the automated starting sequence horn system, the iStart box. And instead of 300 feet of chain, this boat has 200 feet of chain. And I didn't put this on here, but past that chain, she has another 100 feet of road. And now we will start to talk about the boats that we use to set marks. They are appropriately named the Markset Boats. Each of our Markset boats are ribs, and RIB, R-I-B, stands for Rigid Inflatable Boat. And you see that right there, spelled out for you. The first ones that I'll talk about are rib crafts, and these ones have black tubes on them. They're 22 feet in length. They have 150 horsepower Yamahas on the back of them. Their cruising speed is 25 knots. They have a Furuno MFD at the helm instead of the Raymarine. The difference is because these boats are older. We didn't really sync up the brand of our electronics way back when we bought these. These are a little bit older. But that being said, these are probably my favorite to actually drive. They're a little bit more maneuverable. And I don't know, everybody has their preferences. These are my favorite. Anyhow, on the boats, you'll see an orange box, an orange boat box. This box is different from a similar orange boat box that you'll see later in this presentation that has your race committee equipment. Aside from that, there's this orange boat box that stays on the boat. It has some of the legally required stuff that I went over earlier. The registration, I know I said I taped it inside on the console, which I do, but I also put a copy in this box just in case that one falls off or gets lost. And then this is where the air horn lives inside this orange box, as well as the flares, and the checklist also lives in that box. And here you have our Zodiacs. There's 3 pictured here, but we actually have 4. We just got a 4th one, and she looks exactly the same as the one in the middle there with the T-top. So we'll have 2 T-top Zodiacs and 2 without. But all of them have 200 horsepower Yamaha on the back. All of their speeds are the same at 25 rather, around 25 knots. And you might be thinking, well, these have 200 horsepower. How come they don't go as fast or faster than the Ribcraft? And the answer is because I've found, at least, that these hulls are designed a little bit less efficient at generating speed than the Ribcrafts. But what you get in return is a much larger deck space to work with. So that's the give and take there. Each boat has a Raymarine multifunction display right at the helm. The new ones, the ones with the T-tops, have a fully touchscreen MFD, whereas the 2 older ones without the T-top have an MFD with a roto key and just a handful of buttons on the side. And similar to the Ribcrafts, these also have those orange boxes on board the boat that stay on the boat at all times. Now let's make our way to the Markset Shed. So the Markset Shed is located on the water next to our docks, actually next to our cranes. So if you were to walk outside the club and see our big cranes, the Markset Shed is located just to the right of that, down a ladder. And so once you make your way down there, this is what it looks like. There's lines hung up off to the right there, and they're all grouped up by similar sizes. And you can tell what size a line is, the length of the line, by looking at the ends of the lines. We paint their ends different colors that correspond with their appropriate lengths. And there's a key to help you figure out what color is what length. That's taped up right here. Some of our race committee boats have the key in a plaque form that's adhered onto the console. And I'm working on getting more of those plaques to put on the new boats. And as you look over to the left, you'll find the vacuum down here, this silver vacuum, and this green blower. Those are used both to inflate and deflate the marks. And the marks are these hanging inflatable marks off to the left here. Some people like to use the vacuum to inflate marks. Some people like to use the battery-powered Makita inflator that we have. It's really depending on your preference, but you cannot use the Makita blower as a deflator. That's solely the job of the vacuum. And there's also a garbage bin down there. And like I mentioned, the inflatable marks are hung just right here. The max amount of marks per hoist, per pulley system here is 3. And I've tried to do 4. I've done 4. It was too heavy really to do easily. And it was too hard to fit the D-rings at the ends of these marks onto the actual carabiner clip that's attached to this pulley system. And last thing I'll mention on this side is the tube inflator. So like I mentioned, all of our Markset boats are ribs. And sometimes, depending on the weather, if we have a really cold night or a really hot day followed by a cold night, the pressure release valves in the tubes will release the air during the warm day, but that air won't make it back in the tubes when the air cools. So in the mornings, you'll often find that the tubes are a little soft. And we do our best to try to keep them inflated, but if you guys ever need to inflate it before heading out and none of us are around to do it for you, that's where she's located right there. And you just attach her to the battery leads and it's pretty easy to do. And on the other side of the Mark Shed, you'll have the ball marks or ball buoys. And they're either orange or white. And the small ones off to the right are actually not marks, but they're our anchor yankers. And we use these to retrieve the anchors that we lay down to use when we set our marks. And also inside this side of the Mark Shed are our collection of foul weather gear that the race committee may use if they don't have their own. We also have some life jackets that are hung up there. And some people like to hang up their hats here when they get wet so they can dry for the next day. Right here along the floor, you'll see these white cylinders. These hold the flag sets for the umpires, and they use those flags for all of our match racing regattas. And in this photo, the thing that pops out the most probably is the orange flag poles right here. Those actually belong on either the Cressy or the Wilhite. So if you're on a Markset boat and you need a flagpole, you'll be using the white flag poles that are made out of the PVC. Off to the left of those, on the second shelf up, these are the flag quivers, and they're inside of these white mesh bags. And you'll find the flags C, M, N, S, and V inside of those bags. And below that, you'll find the dead man anchors or the mushroom anchors. These are used to hold the marks upright, the inflatable marks upright. And below that, you'll find the heavier anchors. Some of them are Navy anchors, and some of them are river anchors. The Navy anchors are 28 pounds, and the river anchors are 30 to 33 pounds. And now let's talk about that race committee orange box that I mentioned at the start of all this. And inside this box, you will find a clipboard, which is this black object right here. And it opens up, and inside of that, you'll find finish sheets, pad of paper, pens, pencils, markers, a tied book. And aside from that, you'll also have some binoculars. The binoculars in this orange box came in this little tiny case right here. An anemometer that measures the wind speed. You'll have a compass, a whistle, some zip ties. There are no zip ties in this photo, but they're typically located in this top compartment here of the orange box. There's also duct tape in these boxes, a knife, a little small knife, and an air horn with a refill canister just in case the first one runs out. And lastly, we have the GPS, the handheld GPS unit inside this orange box as well. And I didn't have it listed here because it's not inside the box, but located up at the race office where you'll be getting these orange boxes is the set of radios that we have, handheld radios that we give out to everybody on the boats. And that's just about it. So if you guys have any questions, let me hear them.